Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the 2017 Mars in Gemini transit part 2, and I'm going to be talking about its possible impact on the zodiac signs Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. And yes, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant for all zodiac signs. Anyway, Mars will be traversing the zodiac sign Gemini between April 21st, 2017 and June 4th, 2017. So we have the date there. So the dates, I should say. Well, anyway, people, I want to talk about as far as the Mars in Gemini transit impact on Aries. Perhaps, well, firstly, it's going to be the third house, which is emphasized and accentuated and highlighted during this time for Aries. And Aries may have to be concerned, perhaps, of some perhaps acrimonious situations with neighbors, with people, with siblings, if applicable, if you do have any brothers or sisters. And it could be connected with harsh witticisms, which really can be about Gemini in a negative expression. At the same time, there might be during this time, perhaps there is a greater propensity for maybe accidents and short journeys. I'd advise Aries to be careful, because Aries can be impetuous and impulsive as it is. And then you have Gemini's restlessness mixed in here, and you have this third house of short journeys. So that's really what I would be careful of for Aries during this time. But during this time too for Aries may want really be interested in assimilating a lot of information and asking a lot of questions, being this inquisitive Gemini, Mars and Gemini energy, and maybe might be asking a lot of questions connected with siblings and with neighbors, and perhaps even people that were connected with their early schooling. So anyway, for Taurus might be the second house is what's going to be emphasized and highlighted during this time for Taurus. So this could be a period where Taurus might find themselves maybe multitasking a lot at that place, that wherever they're generating income and making money, they might wind up expending a lot of energy trying to accumulate resources. This could be a variety of resources, and also wherever it is that they're making money, Taurus might also find that their energy is very restless and might find themselves having a hard time being stagnant or focusing on one thing at that place where they're making money during this time. Now, as far as, the next sign for Gemini, Gemini, the first house is what's going to be emphasized, highlighted, and accentuated during this transit. And during this time, keep in mind, Mars also is about the sexuality, and really Gemini might come across as a little bit more, having more sex appeal during this time than usual, because the first house being highlighted and emphasized during this time. At the same time, Gemini might be a little bit more acerbic and more outspoken than usual. Sign Gemini is usually like Libra. They could be rather tactful and diplomatic, and will often say what the person wants to hear in order to avoid hurting the person's feelings, but not so much during this time. And it could be a lot of quick, concise, real fast statements that might be hurtful to somebody during this time coming out of Gemini's mouth. And people might see Gemini more so than usual being more averse to stagnation and being still, because Gemini energy, of course, is such where it's very restless and it's nervous and antsy. So in any way, Also for Gemini, it's important, given that Mars is about accidents, and for Gemini, what rules Gemini, of course, are as far as the body parts, the arms and the hands and the fingers. Be very careful, especially with dealing with machinery this time, to avoid those possible injuries or contusions or what have you to those body parts. So maybe a little bit more accident prone, propensity for an accident more so than usual Gemini during this period. Now for Cancer, well, the 12th house is what is emphasized and highlighted during this transit. And during this time for Cancer, there might be a lot more energy going into matters connected with seclusion and solitude. Maybe it might be a time where there might be more energy connected with doing things with the hands in private that require dexterity, such as working on automobiles or refrigeration repair, something where the hands are really figured prominently, and also a lot of energy injected perhaps into just general mental energy being used privately. A lot of maybe more emails and correspondences during this time for Cancer, more so than usual, and really about being very more inquisitive with people that figure prominently in their private life during this time. And also there might be some dealing with maybe people that are exposed as hidden adversaries during this period, and there might be some contentious situations with a lot of that Gemini verbatim and those harsh witticisms of Gemini blended in with this. So for Cancer. So anyway, well, as far as Leo goes, well, the 11th house is what's highlighted and emphasized during this time for Leo. So it could indicate some acrimonious situations, perhaps with friendships, with acquaintances, and a lot of mental energy going into their aspirations and their goals during this time. It might be that maybe Leo finds themselves doing things that require more dexterity in projects with their friends or their acquaintances. They might want to collaborating with them on those kind of projects. It's really something during this time for Leo as well, that they might also get involved with a lot more short trips, perhaps with their friends, with their acquaintances during this time. A lot of short journeys, and a hard time also sitting still with them due to the restless nature of the zodiac sign Gemini. So, and anyway, well, last but not least, as far as Virgo goes, well, the 10th house is what's emphasized and accentuated for the zodiac sign Virgo. And during this time, well, Virgo might find themselves doing manifold things in matters connected with their career, the situation perhaps with the dominant parent, which is generally the father, might be a little bit more contentious than usual. Matters with authority figures, there might be some heated arguments with them, with a lot of, as I stated before, the Gemini-like witticisms with the real quick, fast, sometimes cutting comebacks that Gemini energy can give. It might be where Virgo is required to use their hands a little bit more in matters connected with their career. So if Virgo hasn't been doing things in their career, which had to do with their hands as much, they might be doing a little bit more so now and doing a lot more multitasking during this period than usual. Keep in mind that 10th house is also connected with the reputation and public image. So I would be careful for Virgo during this time that they don't say something, or as far as maybe that Gemini-like gossiping goes, that gets them into some kind of trouble, and maybe get a reputation as someone gossiping. And also doing something of perhaps a volatile nature during this time, which could affect their reputation. And really also accidents are something to look at in this person's career during this time. So just because Mars can be about accidents. So those are some things to look at, and even perhaps even doing something in the career connected more with metals than usual during this time for Virgo. So those are some things to look at as far as this 2017 Gemini, Mars in Gemini transit goes. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for part 2 of the 2017 Mars in Gemini transit. And stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about part 3 of the 2017 Mars in Gemini transit. 2 things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel, and secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.